relationship between former President Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell has been quite sour for some time, hitting a pretty low after the Capitol riots. And now, of course, we know that McConnell had been celebrating the fact that Democrats were trying to impeach him. I talked about that. Democrats are going to take care of the son of a bitch, in his own words. Funny enough that the Democrats didn't, because they actually needed votes from Republicans, votes that Mitch McConnell did not deliver, of course. Now, there's more. Mitch McConnell also reportedly told the New York Times journalist in the immediate aftermath of January 6th that he was exhilarated by the potential damage to then President Trump, according to a new book by Jonathan Martin and Alexander Burns. So, look, in the book, they say that McConnell reportedly felt exhilarated by the fact that his fellow finally totally discredited himself. Did he, though? Well, if anything, he got even more popular with his own base. Now, the conversation reportedly took place early on January 7th, 2021, just hours after the Capitol was ransacked by a group of Trump supporters, or what, Republicans called secret Antifa, FBI, BLM, or anything other than us. Right. Okay. Now, it gets even better. I love this quote. McConnell said, quote, "He put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. Couldn't have happened at a better time." Well, except that he didn't, because you can go back to what he has said before. I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Well, that's exactly what happened on January 6th, except that he ordered other people, or incited other people, to go and do it for him. Mitch McConnell, incredibly weak. Mitch McConnell, literally, he actually made a huge miscalculation. Huge. He is not as smart as we give him credit for. He is evil. Yes. Smart, apparently not so much. Martin and Burns also wrote that the Republican senator asked him, "What do you hear about the 25th Amendment?" Now, of course, it's a way to remove the president from being mentally unfit, and said he was eager for intelligence about whether his fellow Republicans were discussing removing Trump from office, and again, that did not happen. They added in the book, the Kentucky politician seemed almost buoyant, and that he said that Trump was pretty thoroughly discredited. Now, of course, a couple of years later, we're looking at that and saying, nope, none of that happened. And so I guess maybe we have the benefit of hindsight, if you could call it a benefit. But look, when that had happened, I guess there was a lot of people that were like, I cannot believe this happened. Well, there's no way Donald Trump doesn't get in trouble for this. There is no way that Donald Trump does not get thoroughly discredited, kicked out of politics. I mean, he's already crossed so many lines, but this has got to be the line. But it was not. It did not happen. And of course, Donald Trump, very likely to run in 2024. At least that's what I'm thinking. Very, very possible. Now, in separate excerpts of the book, McConnell was also previously quoted as telling advisors that the Democrats are going to take care of him. I already read you that quote, referring to impeachment, and said that if this isn't impeachable, I don't know what is. Well, he was impeached. Doesn't mean he was removed. Because again, the thing that they were lacking the most, Republican votes. They did not have enough votes to remove the president. Hey, you know who could have delivered those votes? Mitch McConnell. And he didn't. Why? Well, Mitch McConnell, again, he's one of the most loathsome people in politics, simply put. He would rather the Democrats somehow take care of Trump without his help, which again, was impossible. Couldn't do it. And the reason, of course, he did not offer up his votes or the votes of other people in his caucus is because, well, they're weak. They're incredibly weak. They're weak, they're cowardly, they're sad, and they're pathetic. They couldn't go against Daddy Trump. Couldn't happen. He's a coward. And so all of this talk about Donald Trump being hated behind the scenes, because truly he was. Of course. It's at the end of the day, it's not really important, doesn't matter, because their actions, or lack thereof, speak louder than words. And rather than join Democrats to remove that monster, that threat to our political system, they defend him. In fact, Mitch McConnell comes out and says, well, yeah, I'll still vote for him. Of course, I'll support him in 2024 if he's our nominee. Incredibly weak. And why? Again, because the base loves Donald Trump. And this is something that Mitch McConnell doesn't quite understand. You see, he understands that a vote against Trump would have destroyed him politically, but he doesn't understand why people preferred Donald Trump. You see, look, it's because people hate the establishment. Now, Mitch McConnell represents the establishment. And so Mitch McConnell himself and any of these members of Congress that are part of the establishment, well, they always fall to Trump's faux populism. They fall for the fake populism, the voters do. And here's what I'm talking about. Drain the swamp, end the corruption, give people health care. Yes, remember Donald Trump talking about health care, talking about adopting the, the Australian model of health care, which was universal health care. Say, oh, they've got it so much better. Well, it's true, they did. They do. Taking on the elite, taking on the wealthy, elite and the drug companies, big corporations. They talk about that. He talked about that. That's all Trump said that he would do. And guess what? He didn't do it. Of course. But the reason that people believed him is because nobody else does any of those things. Nobody does any of those things. Again, you combine that with all the hateful and disgusting things that Trump said about minorities, women, etc. Well, he developed a following that is fairly strong. And it's still with him. Look, again, even though I think that his group of people has diminished, you still have more people on Donald Trump's side that support people like Trump than you do people like McConnell. McConnell is one of the most hated politicians in this country. The establishment hated. And so, look, there's a reason that Congress has historically low approval ratings. They don't do anything. They don't deliver for the American people. And it's not just McConnell. It's not just the Republicans. It's all the politicians, both sides. They do next to nothing for the average American worker, for the average person. And so you allow fake populists like Donald Trump to come in and, say all these terrible, untrue things, to demonize minorities, to undermine democracy. Because people think, well, God damn it, I just want some change. And so not only that, but look, you also have so many people that have checked out from the political system here in America. Because they see that nothing is changing, that nothing has changed under Democrats or Republicans. And then, you have somebody in here who promised big things and is very, very good at lying, very, very good at marketing. And, well, there you have an instant fan club. Trump got elected in the first place because people were begging for some kind of change. Some kind of change. Now, look, establishment Republicans, they didn't like him. That's why. That's why establishment Republicans would always talk behind his back. But the important thing is when push came to shove, literally, on January 6th, they went along with Trump even after he tried to end our system of government. And so the Republicans, they're cowards, all of them. And the Democrats, weak and feckless, of course. So, look, that said, the reporters, look, I get tired of these like, oh, it's a new book. It's a new book. We talk about it, we cover it because they are important scoops. But I'm just tired of reporters sitting on the scoops until it's time to release a book. I think this might have been much more relevant, much more important to have shared during the impeachment. I mean, wouldn't have it mattered if this quote had come out during the impeachment trial? Hey, look, McConnell really wants the Democrats to be able to take care of Trump. So, hey, Mitch McConnell, does that mean you're going to support the impeachment? Is that what you're going to do? Maybe you should do that and back up your words. Publicly embarrass, publicly shame Mitch McConnell and the rest of these Republicans who are actually concerned behind the scenes. January 6th, we have the text from Mark Meadows that showed that they had that position, that they were against Trump, they were worried about this, and they didn't want the Trump wing of the party to take over, destroy our democracy. And Mike Pence and his staff. Oh, but they didn't. The reporters held on to it. They sat on this until they could sell a book. That's gross. Gross. Apparently, selling a book, making more money, well, that's the important thing in Washington, D.C. I guess they had their priorities set.